Marty, I know you go to bed early, homie.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do. I know you're in bed night at 9:30 p.m., but please tell me you stayed up to watch Damian Lillard cook the Pelicans.
Oh, I did. I mean, I live with Ben Mintz, so best believe I was watching the Pelicans game last night. And that's usually just Sundays.
Just Sundays.
Where I go to sleep early. But, yeah, definitely watched it. What a game.
Oh, my God. That was maybe one of the best Damian Lillard performances I've ever seen in my life. Why? Because it was like we were up. My team, the Portland Trailblazers, were up. And we're up pretty much the entire game. And then all of a sudden, the Pelicans just kept hitting threes after threes after threes. And it didn't really matter what happened. Damian himself would not allow them to come back. And even when the Pelicans did come back, it was like he had an answer every single time when he really should not have been the answer.
Yep.
They were all scheming for him. That last second layup, as everyone is swarmed around him, and he still got the and one. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and they were trying everything, too. They were trying to throw everyone at him and then sometimes trying to, lay off of him, let other people create, and it didn't matter. He just cooked it. And shout out to Gary Trent Jr. He played awesome, too.
I love Gary Trent Jr. And Dame has been, to me, this entire season, he's been balling. And the problem, though, with, we've talked about small market teams in the past, when you're balling and you're playing for a team that is not a huge market, it doesn't get a lot of national attention unless you're doing something incredible like Russell Westbrook did in 2017. So no one has been talking about it until right now. Stephen A. Smith, I think 3 days ago, had to apologize. He went on the air, and for all of national media, himself, Mark Spears, he named 10 guys. He had to say, listen, we're not talking about Damian Lillard nearly enough. We watch him, we're impressed by him, but for some reason, we don't give him his love, and that ends right now. This is what Stephen A. had to say.
What did this say about Damian Lillard?
What it says is that we owe him an apology. And the number one person on that list would be me. I am a huge fan of Damian Lillard, Dame Time. I believe in it. I always have. The NBA reporters, we all know how great Damian Lillard is. We just don't talk about it enough. And we don't talk about it so much that we have taken this man for granted. And as a result, we find ourselves in a situation where it's LeBron, it's Joel Embiid, it's even Steph Curry that's in the conversation now, et cetera, et cetera. But we lose our way, and I'm going to put myself at the top of the list, blaming myself. I'm putting myself at the top of the list because I have this platform. I have First Take 2 hours every day, and I got Stephen A's World, and I got NBA with Stephen A, and all of this other stuff. And I haven't talked about Damian Lillard enough. Number one in the NBA since 2012 with clutch points.
That is incredible.
Clutch points. Last 5 seconds of the game. Don't get me started with the last 5 minutes. Don't get me started with Dame Time. Don't get me started with him averaging 29 and how he's been doing that for the last 3, 4, 5 years. That right? And he's got Portland 5th in the West, and there's no CJ McCollum who's missed game. No Nurse, no Jurkic. It doesn't.
He doesn't know his name.
I don't even know who the hell it is. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
matter. This brother, Damian Lillard, tell me, and it's a rhetorical question, but I challenge anybody out there to tell me who strikes more fear in you when crunch time arrives than the ball being in his hands.
I know he said it was a rhetorical question, but I'm going to ask it again, and it's not rhetorical in this particular state. Who strikes more fear in you in the last few seconds of the game other than Damian Lillard? I mean, the answer is no one.
No.
Maybe LeBron? Maybe. Because he's so big and he can go to the rack and you know someone's probably going to foul him. But when you're down 3 with 3 seconds left on the clock, it's only Dame Time.
Yeah, easy. I don't want anyone else taking it. Yeah.
No. And I know for a lot of people they say, Trysta, you're a homer. And I am a homer. But this isn't me as a homer talking at all. I do love Damian Lillard, but this is one of those situations where because it is my hometown, I'm like the father of a baseball team, and like my team is basically like my son, and I won't glorify the Blazers ever. I always underrate my team and the players on my team because I don't want to seem biased, and I believe in my heart maybe that's what my love and my appreciation is coming from. So, I mean, I love Damian Lillard as a human being. I think he's the best player ever to be on our franchise, and that's saying a lot with Brandon Roy and with Clyde the Glide. But Dame's going to go down as the greatest Blazer in history.
For sure.
And still, with all of that, he's underrated. That's crazy. That's crazy. That is the truth bomb of it all. Damian Lillard balling this year more than ever, not getting any national attention until now. And now it's spilled over to the podium to the point where Damian Lillard is saying, hey, guys, hey, hand up, guys. I am an MVP candidate. I am playing just as good as you would expect from someone who wins that award. And here's all of the reasons why.
The best players win MVP. And I think what you see is those players have a heavy load. They take a lot of responsibility on wins and losses for their team. And, they're the players that are showing up night after night. The games that are on TV, the games not on TV, dealing with injuries, all those things, and just putting together performances and playing at that level, but also empowering the team, and giving the team that spark and, pushing the team to win. And I think this year, everything that we've been dealing with injury and also playing through my own injuries. So I think that's what you see in MVPs. And, obviously, I think, I see myself as the top of the league. I'm one of the best players in this league. And I feel like I'm on that level. And the way our team is playing, given our circumstances, makes it even more obvious to me.
That's about as blatant as you're going to get from Damian Lillard, I would say. He's one of the most humble guys in the league. And yet he's like, hey, everyone on my team is hurt. 3/5 of our starting five are gone. 3/5. CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, and Zach Collins. Zach Collins hasn't been around all season. Hasn't even played one game. Nurkic went out really fast, and CJ's missed a ton of games. And still, you would think at that point, oh my God, Portland should have fallen off a cliff. Portland should be like 11th in the West with just Damian Lillard. And I'm not even going to say what the rest of the players are. I love this team. I think it's a very complete team, but you can't miss 60% of your roster and still be number 4 in the West unless you have an MVP on your team.
That's true.
That's big facts. So I went and looked at how much they were all averaging, those 3 guys, to the tune of 55 points missing on a night-to-night basis without them, just from the starting lineup. And you know what? Portland hasn't missed a step. We are fourth in the West, 5th in the league in scoring at 115 points a game. Offensive rating is up there with only the Jazz, Bucks, Nets, and Clippers. Incredible. Largely because of how good Damian Lillard is at shooting the 3. This team is 3rd in the league in three-pointers taken, 3rd in the league in three-pointers made, 5th highest three-point percentage in the league, 5th highest free throw percentage in the league. Folks, that is all Damian Lillard. That is him. He is giving the rock to Carmelo when he's hot. He's facilitating and being a leader in big moments. That is what you want from your MVP. Averaging 30 a game, but as Stephen A. so poignantly pointed out, he is lethal at the end of games. More clutch points than any other player in the NBA since 2012. Did you know that, Marty?
I did not. That's a pretty cool stat to have.
That is ice water. 4 seconds are left on the shot clock and averages 53% from the field and 48% from deep. Can we just step back and appreciate that for a second?
Sure, yeah.
You are not giving my man enough respect.
I am. I actually have him 12-1 to win MVP.
How much money did you put on it?
Not killer.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
You didn't have enough faith, but it made a big difference if he wins it.
Right, yeah.
Okay. So here's the problem with MVPs and Damian Lillard playing at an MVP level. I don't know if you know this, Marty, but I went and did a little digging, did a little nerd shit.
Okay.
Since 2004, 11 MVPs have had the best record in basketball.
Okay.
13 MVPs have come from the best team in their conference. 3 from the second best team in their conference. And only one player since 2004 did not fit that mold. Who was that player?
It sounds a lot like Russell Westbrook 2017.
That's it. And do you know why?
Do I know why he won it? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, he averaged triple-double, took over the
Pretty
storylines
much
of the year. Yeah.
The storylines.
Yeah.
The reason why is exactly that. When you have 42 triple-doubles in a year, that gets a lot of attention from the national media, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It became one of those situations where it dominated the storyline at night after night after night for months, where it was like, oh my God, is this guy Superman? And let's be real, Russell Westbrook was stealing rebounds from Steven Adams. Like stealing them. Steven Adams has gone on the record and said, I mean, sometimes it would be both he and I grabbing the ball and he would just take it out of my hands to get the rebound.
Yep.
So, okay, people start talking about it. They can't help it. Stephen A's doing it. And then that trickles over to Colin Cowherd and then on to Undisputed. And you know how it goes, right? And then the sheeple effect starts to click in. And then the public starts to be like, yeah, Russ. And then that's how you get Russell Westbrook winning MVP. But the truth is, given how the MVP voting usually goes, James Harden should have won that.
Yeah, I was Team Harden that year.
He was the lone all-star on one of the most efficient offenses in the three-point era. He led the league in win shares, assists, and points generated by his assists. He carried Houston to the NBA's third-best record, second-ranked offense, and top-ranked three-point attack. But yet, Russell Westbrook, dominating the storylines, finished 47-35, sixth in the West, 10th best team overall as an anomaly. Why? Because of just media.
Mm-hmm.
So if
and he broke a stat that people said forever, like, oh, no one's ever going to do
facts.
that again.
That's facts.
Yeah.
I don't think Dame is going to be able to break anybody's like long-standing stat for sure.
Yeah, well, there's not many out there.
Yeah, I mean, what do they say? Records are meant to be broken?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. So no matter how much the Blazers and Dame ball out, Dame has to essentially will this team to number 2 in the West in order for him to get consideration.
Ugh.
That is brutal. Yeah. It's going to be very, very hard for him to snatch the MVP trophy out of LeBron's hands because LeBron is now back into the mix of being in vogue. Of course, I mushed that by saying he would never win it prior to the season starting. Of course. It doesn't really matter how many 40-point games Dame has or if he comes around a screen with 2 seconds left in the game to win it against the Bulls or whoever, unless we keep Dame's name in front and center of the media every single Blazer game. And that is Trysta Krick's job from now on out. I am going to be insufferable about this because if anyone deserves an MVP like Russell Westbrook got it, it's Dame. And to be honest, I don't know if you're going to believe me or agree with me about this, Marty, but this roster, this Portland Trailblazer 2021 roster without Nurk, without Zach Collins, without CJ McCollum is significantly worse than the OKC roster that Russell Westbrook was playing on. Let me just give you some of the names. Some guys that you might be familiar with. Jeremy Grant was on that team.
Right.
Victor Oladipo was on that team.
That was the
DeMontis
Depot
Sabonis was on that team. Enes Kanter on that team. Steven Adams was on that team. So Dame is doing more because he's 4th in the West, not 6th in the West. Doing more with a lot less. What Dame does for his team in this small-ass market that would never, ever attract him unless we drafted him is something that I think every fan, casual or not, should take notice of, appreciate, and really say, Portland, you really just don't deserve this. Be happy with what you get. You're probably never getting a championship, but that's okay because you have Damian Lillard. Who does that remind you of, Marty?
Doesn't remind me of really anyone right off the top, so why don't you tell me yours?
I think it's Kevin Garnett.
KG, all right.
Loyal, drafted by a small market team that was never going to win a chip, put up MVP numbers on the regular, didn't get the respect, but then when the Wolves didn't put winning pieces around him, he was like, yeah, I gotta go.
He gave him a lot of time, though.
He gave him a lot of time. A lot of time. And he was sick. Oh, my God, was he sick. But the difference, and this is why Damian Lillard is probably my favorite player in the NBA, is because Damian Lillard is no KG. He is going to stay in Portland for his entire career unless Portland pulls a snake move and trades him. He was just on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, which is in the Barstool Network as well. Here's what he said. It was just phenomenal.
I think that's why you see a lot of players jumping teams and teaming up with other players, because the pressure of the media and, like, the standard that they putting out there, like, oh, this person don't got a ring, and, like, how they talk crazy to Charles Barkley on TV, like he ain't Charles Barkley because he didn't win a ring. So, like,
Knew you would like that.
It's forcing dudes to be like, well, I'm going to go play with this person, or if I get with this person. But to me, like, if that's what they want to do, then I don't got no problem with it. Like, it's whatever. But for me personally, that's just not something I can do. Like, I'd rather go out there and put my best foot forward and lose before I do that, because I know I can win if I do that.
Oh, my God.
Like, we supposed to win.
Him.
If we all get on the same team and we the best players, like, we supposed to win.
So you would never do it?
I would never do that. I mean, now, I don't control, like, if the team decide to trade me somewhere and you know what I'm saying? I can't control that, but it ain't for me to just be like, all right, I want to go find,
so you know. Can't.
Wow. Dame's never going to chase a ring.
I love that.
He's never going to run from the grind like Paul George. Ricochet shot to Paul George. He's never going to form a super team. He's going to stay in Portland and grind it out. He's going to do as much as anybody can in the league to try to win a title, but he knows that there's a great chance he's probably never going to, and he knows it's going to affect his legacy, and he knows people are going to shit talk him when he leaves the league because he never won a ring, most likely. And you know what? He doesn't care. This dude is solid. Is there anyone more solid? I don't know. Unwavering, unbreakable, not going to succumb to the storylines and the new wave of the NBA and what everybody's doing. Doesn't matter if he's playing with fans, no fans, on national TV, on a Tuesday, on a Saturday night, in the bubble, out of the bubble. This dude is unflappable, unreal, and all the time. On time, Dame time. And so if there was, this is my point to all of this, to this Damian Lillard soliloquy, if there was ever a year where you would step outside of the traditional bubble, no pun intended, and the traditional way of giving out an MVP, and actually give the award to the player who's truly the most valuable to their franchise, lifts them and elevates them, not just the best player on the best team, it's got to be 2021, and that's got to be Damian Lillard. I know I'm biased, but I think Dame should be this year's MVP. This league, I've torn my Achilles before.
Oh, no.
I've torn my calf before. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah.
I've got some injuries. Playing basketball is a dirty game.
Achilles sounds horrible. That sounds like the most painful thing I could imagine.
You know what's crazy about an Achilles pop? It was a partial tear, so I'm not like a real hard rock. I've got my Achilles tear in a pair of Kobe's, which is very, very funny.
Yeesh.
Like 2 years before Kobe tore his Achilles. So it's painful. The pop comes, you hear the pop, you don't feel anything, and then your whole body goes hot and cold, you get nauseous, and then the pain floods in, right?
Fuck that.
Oh, it's bad. So I've had tendonitis. I've never, ever, ever had tendinosis, though. And there's a huge difference between tendonitis and tendinosis. This is a nerd episode, isn't it?
No, let's go. I'm interested.
This is a nerd episode. All right. So let's get it. Let's break it down. I'm really, really interested and fascinated with soft tissue and how the body moves and how that actually translates into guys getting injured and how guys end up being have longevity in the league, like LeBron. Mm-hmm. So the difference is this. Tendinitis is inflammation of the tendon, right?
Okay, all right.
Tendinosis is a degenerative condition in the tendon, meaning it breaks down over time, often irreversible and involving some sort of loss of function, right? So it's something that doesn't get better, it only gets worse. You can manage it, but you will never fully recover. Feel me?
Yeah, for sure.
So Anthony Davis has tendinosis.
Tough.
He has a degenerative problem in his Achilles tendon that he's had for a while now. He had it in the playoffs, you know for sure. He missed some games. You could see that he was struggling with it. He also has a little bit of an issue near his heel. And that's where there's like a strain. This is according to some soft tissue experts that I spoke to.
Okay.
And now what we know is that AD also has a calf strain. He has a calf strain and an Achilles issue. Two different parts of the body conflicting against one another, putting a lot of strain on the Achilles itself. Does that remind you of anyone?
Oh, God.
Who
Should it?
Who left the playoffs with a calf strain and their team doctor said, you can play, we just have to manage it, and nothing is going to happen as a result? Kevin Durant.
Oh, right. Yeah. Duh.
And what happened? He went out there too early.
Yep.
And popped his Achilles out.
Yeah. To the delight of Toronto Raptors fans.
To the delight of Toronto Raptors fans. This is a big time problem. This Anthony Davis issue is not only an issue right now for this team, but it's also an issue down the road. I know I've said some things about Anthony Davis before about him being soft. I know that. I would never, though, ever disparage what he can do. Elite in every way. When he decides to show up as a dog, there's no one. He's typically unguardable at that point. And of course, I'm heartbroken that he's staring this degenerative issue down. But this is a problem. Lakerland, you should be terrified. And now you're hearing from the Lakers organization that they're going to potentially get him back right after the All-Star break, which is 6 weeks, 4 weeks.
Ish. Yeah.
I am hearing that this is a situation that should be a 3-month minimum. 3-month minimum to get him back, which puts us in May 18th, May 19th, right around the middle of the playoffs at best.
Yeah.
So, boy, I tell you what, the news on AD doesn't seem good.
No, everything that I've read just seems like it's pretty horrible.
Which obviously probably will make LeBron's MVP case look better. But the Lakers don't look nearly as good, obviously, without their marquee center. Power forward, whatever you want to call them. Positionless basketball. So I would shit my pants if I was LeBron James. And the new news is that they're going to probably go out and get Mo Bamba. They're looking into Blake Griffin. They're looking into big men, which to me signals them fearing the worst.
I actually like Bamba.
I think I was watching the Orlando Magic game. Was it last night? 2 nights ago? They just played the Knicks. Yeah, they just played the Knicks, and they blew the Knicks out, and Bamba was looking good. And when you focus in on Bamba, he sort of has some AD-like movements to him. Stretch 4, stretch 5, can shoot the rock, can go down low.
I'd be excited to see what LeBron could do with him, but not to get sidetracked.
But that's the thing, right? So if you're going out to get Mo Bamba, what's going on?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because Mo Bamba is a key piece of the Magic organization moving forward in the future. They're not going to want to give him to you for free. Mm-hmm. That means to me, this is a troubling long-term issue potentially regarding Anthony Davis, regarding the Lakers, and you're at a push-pull juxtaposition. On one hand, you've got Anthony Davis, who just got paid, about to get $28 million, and you've got LeBron James, 36, staring down Father Time, literally chasing Kobe and Michael Jordan's ring count to try to get 5 and to try to get 6, and you know he's going to try to get 7 if he can, right? Because then it's like you have no real argument.
If he passes Michael, there's really not much you could say.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin, possibly Wayne Ellington, Mo Bamba, the world it's crazy. The Lakers are now making moves, and it's going to be fascinating. I have no inside scoop other than the fact that this could really end bad. And the Lakers have to take this shit very seriously, or they could end up in another Kevin Durant situation like the Warriors did, only have to pay him for the next 4 years. So The league is much better, obviously, with AD and LeBron in it. I think we all want that. I think AD brings the best out in LeBron, and LeBron brings out the best in AD.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, this is a developing situation and a little nerd talk. So get well soon, Anthony Davis, and I hope the Lakers go and get Mo Bamba. But also the West is now wide open without Anthony Davis. This league. Woo! Oh, my God. What a track. Shout out to the game for that track. What can we be talking about other than money? We're talking about the Utah Jazz, folks. We've talked about Shaq versus Spider. We've talked about Donovan Mitchell going cold during very important moments and whether the Utah Jazz can actually win a title, which I don't think that they can, even though this new Anthony Davis news makes me very confused. Not a lot of love for Utah so much this year, but this is a love for Utah segment. So that changes right now. Utah may be the most fun team to watch in the league because they are free money.
Oh, yeah.
Easy money sniper. The Jazz are a gambler's wet dream. Like an ATM machine, you don't even have to put your card in.
Yeah, they really are.
Just spit out money to you. Doesn't matter who they play, when they play, where they play, how much the spread is. Money. Free money. Just like go and get them. You don't even need to watch the game. You don't need to sweat it. They're like up 7 at halftime, up 20 by the end of the game. In Milwaukee, in LA, at home, doesn't matter. Just lay on a beach, get a massage, and collect your Utah Jazz money. Rinse, repeat. So how good have they been for gamblers? I mean, enough that I'm making a gambling segment in a show that's not about X's and O's, not about nerd shit. Historically good. We haven't seen a run like the Utah Jazz are having in 30 years. That's how good. Take pleasure in that, because this shit is not coming around all that often. 19-2 against the spread in 21 games. Holy shit.
It's nuts.
1 10-0 stretch, 1 8-0 stretch, which is where we currently are right now, folks, in the middle of this hot streak. What is going on in Salt Lake City?
I think it's just a lack of weaknesses. Like, when you look at this lineup, like, they're not weak anywhere, and every single player is good and, like, deserves to be getting minutes on an NBA team. They're just, they've got it all.
The emergence of Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah.
He has taken that. He was like a quote-unquote sixth man for them. Signed that deal, and he put 40 on Ben Simmons' head. 40. They are a top 5 offensive team, top 5 defensive team. I'm not going to bore you with the numbers, but they're incredible on both sides of the ball. And when they decide it's beatdown time, like they did a couple of nights ago against the Clippers, it's clamps.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even get a shot off. Like, you are running around like a 5th grade boys basketball team, like trying to shoot from your hip, and like you've got that one big kid on and he can just block the shit out of you. That's the Jazz. They just clamp. They are a buzzsaw. The Clippers were tied going into the 4th quarter, and then the Jazz decided, you know what? It's time for us to stop playing around with these fools. 10-0 run. They never even got close. I mean, you would think that a buzzsaw like that would get all of the attention from gamblers, right? That would inevitably balance things out. And then Vegas would change the lines, and then things would not be so good for us. Increase the spread, making it impossible for us to beat the line. But no. That's not what's happening. The biggest reason for that is crazy. What do you think the biggest reason for that is?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
Sleep.
Okay.
The reason why is sleep. The majority of our country's population lives, 45% of them live on the East Coast. 15% of our country's population live in the Pacific time. So, when the Jazz play the Clippers, that's at 10:30 p.m. our time, and we know our boy Marty likes to get his sleep on a Sunday night. So there's a lot of folks like you, and that is even more weighted towards the sports fans of the world. So even more than 45% of folks who watch the NBA are on the East Coast. 15% of sports fans or less in that Pacific West Coast time zone. Who knows how many of those people are gamblers? So that East Coast gambling bias is real.
This is a trash area time zone to watch sports in.
It is maybe the worst time zone to watch sports in. I have to go to bed at 1:30 a.m. just to watch the Jazz. And then, since West Coast teams play more games within their conference and in their division than anywhere else, that translates into a ton of weekday games that start at bedtime. Right?
Right.
Folks, if you don't have a flexible sleep schedule, flexible work schedule, or just a degenerate gambler, you're probably not going to catch a lot of these marquee matchups that the Jazz are in. On top of that, the Jazz, as we know, I've slandered them enough times, they're not a sexy team. They're not a traditionally sexy market. Like what's going on in Utah, like Mormonism.
Right, yeah.
And mountains. And like some wacky woman who's putting on a referee outfit and like creating these little bills for Donovan Mitchell. So if this was the Lakers or the Clippers or the Celtics, for example, that were hot, this line would have closed up like.
Yeah, I mean, the Utah Jazz will always have a boring connotation on them, whether it's fair or unfair.
Yeah, and I think it's very, very unfair now. That's the branding of it all. So this is so crazy. This is a couple of examples of how crazy this is. On February 9th, Celtics slumping, went to Utah. Jazz 4-point favorites. At that point, Utah 15-2 against the spread in their last 17. So they were pretty fucking hot, we'll say. 55% of the public money went to Boston. Then, and of course, Jazz won by 14. The next game, February 12th, Bucks went to Salt Lake City, and Utah was a 2.5 point favorite. And you know what? 60% of the money went to Milwaukee. Holy shit. And you know what happened then? And at that point, that Utah was a team that was 16-2 in their last 18, and straight up and against the spread. And again, Utah won by 14. And yet, these lines are still tiny. Doesn't make any damn sense. So no one believes in them because why? As Nate Robinson would say, they're Utah trash Utah. Yeah. Mormon capital of the U.S., like one of the worst arenas to be a fan in, rampant polygamy, whatever. Utah, not a state that you're thinking about when you're looking for an exciting, sexy basketball team. So don't sleep. Folks, I don't care if you're a casual fan or not. If you want free money, until things start to level themselves out, if you want as close as you can get to a sure thing, bet the Utah Jazz. Cash it. This league, responsibly, of course. This league. All right, I think we're about to the tail end of some of these DMs. Let's get into it. What do you got?
All right, first up I've got, what in God's name is going on with Kemba? Is he on his way out of Boston?
What a tremendous, tremendous question. What is going on with Kemba? Is he on his way out of Boston? A two-parter. Just trying to squeeze out as much insight from me as they can possibly get. What is going on with Kemba? Kemba is hurt. Kemba is not getting better. Kemba's knee is unfortunately he's falling victim to that Boston Celtics training staff, which pretty much almost got them sued because they mismanaged Isaiah Thomas's hip and made him play. Right? Yeah. Different training staff, same old tactics. A lot of rest, not a lot of strengthening around his tissues or muscles or ligaments, and Kemba has been up and down as a result. His play looks inconsistent at best, I would say. It's bad. He has missed, I think he missed all of February last year, and he's missed a ton of games this year. He just doesn't look the same. That marquee guy that you're paying money to is not the guy that you were wanting and expecting to have.
Yeah, he's a third option.
He is now your third option. And now I know everybody is, the whole Marcus Smart thing, right? Marcus Smart is out too. The Celtics as a whole, the roster is just not what you would want it to be. Danny Ainge is finally falling on his fucking sword.
Yep.
Thank God. Danny Ainge is taking some responsibility for how bad this roster construction is, which it's very bad. Tristan Thompson is very bad. Daniel Tice is mediocre at best. When you could have gotten Steven Adams, you could have gotten Serge Ibaka, throw the bag at them, and you didn't. And is Kemba on his way out? Unfortunately, I don't know that there are many teams that are going to take Kemba Walker in a trade because he's making what, $30 million a year?
A lot, yeah.
He's making a lot of $28 million. He's making a lot of money per year. I would love to see Kemba get right. If I had my druthers, as we would call it, I would want to see Kemba go to LA. Either LA team, fine. Because that's where it doesn't matter, because I want to see him get healthy. And LA is the forefront of health and soft tissue. And guys, when they get that LA sun, 72 and sunny, 365 days a year, something just happens with that. You see LeBron, he's 36, he's playing like he's 26.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I want for Kemba, but it's tremendously sad. He's probably going to be locked up there in cold-ass Boston for a long time. And what that translates to is probably not a lot of winning.
Okay, yeah. Next up, we've got what are your thoughts on the Pistons? And secondary question again, does Blake have any trade value with that contract?
So I think this question came in like a couple of weeks ago before we knew that the Pistons were...
before he was being sat.
Yeah, before he was getting sat, and it was very clear that they were pursuing options to get him out of Detroit. He's going to get bought out. So the answer is that there is zero trade value for Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
Zero. I am hearing he might be a Brooklyn Net. I am hearing he might be a Los Angeles Laker. I am hearing that he might be going... There's another team that I heard. Do you remember?
I like him in Phoenix, honestly.
Phoenix would be great for him. Kind of like an Amari Stoudemire role.
Mm-hmm. And he said on Pardon My Take that he loves Phoenix.
Yeah, he does. That was his number one Rushmore city.
Yep.
But what do I think about the Pistons? This is a team that should be a playoff team. This team can... Did you see them just blow out the Bulls?
Yeah, I mean, they play good against good teams, too.
They play great against good teams. They play up. I love Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, he's special.
Josh Jackson has reemerged. I mean, you've got to be sad about that, right? He looks good.
He's a bum.
They have length, athleticism. They have youth. I love Sadiq Bey.
Yes.
Sadiq Bey was slept on in the draft.
In a weak draft.
I think it'll be stronger. The draft will be stronger in hindsight than we thought it will be.
Yeah, thought of as a weak draft at the time.
Thought of at the time as a weak draft. Dwayne Casey said, Jeremy Grant, I'm going to take you from OKC, and I'm going to give you all the confidence that you need to be a marquee all-star. And Jeremy Grant is that dude now. He went bucket for bucket with LeBron James in overtime and in double overtime. He was the guy that you could rely on, and I think a lot of that comes down to Dwayne Casey's leadership and what he's been able to do. I love them. They are one of the most fun teams to watch in the NBA. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I do enjoy watching them quite a bit. Yeah. I don't like playing them. They beat us early in the season, but
they're every great team's nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. At one point, they were the worst team in the NBA, and they could still beat you on any given night. So you can't take the night off because they have they're so long, they can score at will, and if you're not on your game, you'll go down 20 in an instant. So I love the Detroit Pistons. They're on the rise. I think next year they could be like a 6 seed next year if they're not careful.
Okay, this is a fun one. Who won the Russell Westbrook-John Wall trade?
It's not close, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. But
I don't think it's close.
Yeah.
The Wizards are the worst team in the East now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's enough, really, for you to go and get a sense of where I'm going.
Right.
I think with John Wall and Bradley Beal together, this would not be the worst team in the East. Let's take a little trip down memory lane. It's been 750 days since Bradley Beal and John Wall played together. That season, they were an 8 seed and took the Toronto Raptors to 6, were leading in the fourth quarter against the Toronto Raptors in Game 6, and blew that lead. So and they were 8 seed playing a 1 seed. So I would say John Wall and Bradley Beal should have had a little more time together, and that organization should have had more faith that John Wall would perform. I know it had been 750 days. You're like, our patience has run out. As soon as we even get an inkling that you're healthy, we're going to move you because really we're not sure. Mm-hmm. And we know that what Russell Westbrook can do as like a guy who at one point got 42 triple-doubles in a season. But the Rockets with Christian Wood and John Wall and all of those other pieces, I mean, next year, I know Christian Wood's been out, but next year, they're going to be pretty good. They could win on a night-to-night basis, too. So, yeah, I think it's not close. I think you take Houston. They won the trade very, very easily.
Okay, moving on. I think this might be the last one.
All right, cool.
We got, is Jokic making a case for MVP this year?
Is the Joker an MVP candidate? This question was old, too. You can tell this question was old. I mean, to be fair, 2 weeks ago, the Nuggets were much more relevant. They were winning. The Nuggets, though, are 4-6 in their last 10. They just lost to the Wizards when they were up by 20. They gave that lead away. Disgusting. Just gross the way that happened. And I think that the Wizards are the worst defensive team in the league. So you can't get a bucket against them. Then what are you doing, really? Because I think they had the chance to win on a last-second shot, and whoever put the clamps on, whoever. So, yeah, that's not Jokic's fault, but like we talked about with the Damian Lillard thing, you can't be, right now the Nuggets are the 8th seed in the West. You can't be the 8th seed in the West and have your center be an MVP. No shot. No, not even close. He has 9 assists a game, 27, 11, and 9. So his stat line's great. And I love Jokic. I think he's probably the best healthy center in the league right now because Embiid, let's just be honest, is not going to stay healthy this year. Sorry. He's already missed 20% of the games.
Yeah.
So I could say very confidently that he's not particularly a healthy guy, and he's missed around 25% of every single season since he's been an NBA player. So love him when he's on the floor. He's not always on the floor, though. So, yeah, the end-all, be-all is this makes Damian Lillard look even more like an all-star because the Nuggets have Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Jokic, and they're all balling. And you know what? They are all the way at the bottom of the Western Conference, and that is just not good enough for an MVP candidate.
Yeah. There was another player we just talked about they could have maybe been using.
Another player that they could have maybe been using. Who is that?
Jeremy Grant.
Oh, that would have been a tremendous fit. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what these teams are doing. It's crazy how there are players who have one bad year and then they just get discarded. Mm-hmm. He was fantastic for them. Anyway, yeah, I think that you get the point. You can't be an MVP unless you're at the top of the league, and if you do, you have to be doing tremendous things, and Jokic is just not. So don't blame Jokic, but he's not an MVP. That's all the time that we have, Marty. How was your flu game?
My back is killing me. I'm excited to be done with the recording process.
But the editing process is going to be really fun, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's all the time that we have for the This League podcast. Please subscribe. Please rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It does make a huge difference. Please screenshot me. You're subscribing and unsubscribing and resubscribing. We also have This League hoodies on sale at the Barstool store. Also, TikTok, please follow This League and Trysta Krick on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Am I missing anything?
I think you got it all.
I got it all. YouTube. People are really slamming us about our YouTubes and Twitter. I don't give a fuck about our YouTube numbers right now. TikTok is banging. Please follow us. We will be back Friday morning, bright and early. No trolling. This is all we got. Thanks for joining us.